Hey, what's going on, nation? Today I'm going to share with you guys 3 easy tips to help you build a bigger and wider back, really focusing on those lats with the cable low row machine. But before we jump in, I know a lot of you guys are going to start bulking soon as we're getting towards winter time. So if you need a full 12-week program, I recommend my push-pull legs program. The link's down in the info section below. And as soon as you click it, you'll have access to all the workouts, the workout calendars, as well as downloadable PDFs that you can take with you to the gym. So make sure you check it out. Now getting back to the cable low row. Cable low row is an awesome exercise, and there's actually a few different variations that you can do when you're gonna do a cable low row. And if you don't know what the hell you're doing when you get into the gym, chances are you might be doing a low row, but you're doing the wrong variation and you're not targeting those lats like you want to. For example, whenever I see guys come over and do the cable low row machine, 9 times out of 10, they go right for this attachment right here. And what this does is it almost simulates like a T-bar row when you're bent over and pulling. Now, whenever you're using an attachment like this and your palms are facing in and your hands are close to each other, this is always going to place you in the strongest position to lift the most amount of weight as possible. And us being guys, we're egomaniacs, and so we always want to lift as much weight as possible. Hit that thumbs up button if you know I'm right. But what happens is when you use this attachment is you're actually targeting more rhomboids and mid-traps when doing this. So more like the thickness of your back and hitting your upper back. So if your goal is to get nice wide lats, guys, doing it this way isn't really helping you out. What you need to be doing is the low row by using a straight bar attachment like this and doing an underhand grip, all right? So I'll show you really quick. Underhand grip like this. You're going to get into position right here, and then this is the movement pattern that we're going to be working with. Pulling all the way back and coming all the way forward just like that. So now that you guys know which variation you should be using, let's get into the 3 tips. All right, guys, so the first tip is super important, and it has to do with preventing lumbar spinal flexion, okay? And it's gonna help you really maximize the benefits of this exercise, so really pay attention to what I'm about to say, and don't mind my super tucked in shirt. It's for your benefit, my shirt's tucked in this much. I had to show you guys what the heck I'm talking about. So, tip number 1, you don't wanna fall into spinal flexion when doing this exercise. What happens when you go into spinal flexion is basically when your lower back starts to round like this, is the weight is going to transfer to your lower back. You're going to disengage your lats. Weight's going to transfer to your lower back, and as you perform the movement, you're placing a constant amount of stress in that area, which can lead to a lower back injury. Granted, doing the cable low row, it's not as much of a risk as opposed to doing it bent over with a barbell, but still, you want to make sure that you're building good habits, right? So when doing this exercise, guys, you have to make sure that you're keeping an arch in your lower back. So it's more than just sitting up straight like this. It's sticking your chest up like that, and then getting a nice arch in your lower back, and then maintaining that and maintaining a nice tight core as you perform the movement. Now you guys will also notice that as I'm doing this, I'm sitting up straight, okay? This is gonna give me the longest range of motion in order to build the most amount of muscle. Remember, you tear down the most muscle tissue in the negative, so the longer that negative is, the more muscle you're gonna be able to break down for regrowth. A lot of people, and this actually has to deal with falling into flexion as well, a lot of people as they start to lift too heavy, so ego lifting, results in them leaning all the way back like this, and the range of motion basically gets cut in half, okay? So this isn't doing anything for you. Yes, you can lift more weight, but you're doing half of the range of motion and you're really losing out on the benefits of the movement. The other part of this is, like I said, if the weight's too heavy, as you're sitting up and doing your reps, you'll start to fall forward and you'll start doing this and this. And if you keep doing it like that, you're gonna be placing a lot of pressure in that lower back and you can end up injuring yourself. So chest up, arch your lower back, and that's the position you want to stay in throughout all your repetitions. Tip number 2, guys, you want to make sure that you're using a supinated or an underhand grip when doing this movement. See, a lot of guys in the gym come over here and all they do is an overhand grip or a pronated grip, and what happens, guys, when you use an overhand grip like this and you start pulling back, you're going to feel it instantly. You start targeting more upper back and start hitting more posterior deltoids in the movement. If you're trying to build your lats, okay, you want to use that underhand grip. And as soon as you grab underhand, especially if you've never done this exercise before with an underhand grip, as soon as you grab underhand and sit in this position, you're going to feel those lats activate immediately. Also, guys, because you're in a supinated position, you're activating your biceps a lot more, which means you're going to be able to lift a lot more weight, which is going to allow you to place a much heavier load on your lats to break down more muscle fibers for regrowth. So if you want to work with progressive overload and you really want to overload your muscles, make sure you're using that supinated grip and really targeting those lats. And the third and final tip, guys, and this is something I only want you doing after you've mastered this exercise, is you can actually start to lean forward during the eccentric portion of the movement to get a bit more of a stretch out of your lats. And I'll show you what I mean right now. So let's get into position like we would be in for normally performing the movement. And let's go over a couple normal repetitions real quick. So we're sitting up straight like this, chest is up, and you're pulling the bar into your torso and coming forward like this. Getting a nice deep stretch in those lats before you perform the next repetition. Now, once you get really good core control and you're able to keep your back arched and lean forward like this, you're gonna be able to get your arms to kind of really pull forward and stretch throughout your lats a bit more, and then you can come back to the top and pull in for a much deeper and harder contraction. Now, what I don't want to see is you guys doing this and then falling into spinal flexion and then coming back and then pulling in. Because as soon as you get to that point to where you can't possibly lean forward anymore and then you fall into spinal flexion, you're disengaging your lats. By keeping those lats engaged, that means you have to keep your chest up and keep your lower back arched as you come forward like this and then come back and pull in. And I want you guys to keep these as separate movements, okay? I don't want you just doing this and getting into a habit of using momentum to pull the weight. I want you guys to really feel those muscles activate by leaning forward nice and slow, getting that nice stretch in those lats, and then pull back to the top. And as soon as you get to the top, then you bring your hands in, then you extend your arms forward, and then you go forward again like this. So I want you guys doing separate movements to really get that stretch in the lats and to prevent yourself from using momentum when doing this exercise. And with that being said, yes, there is a time when you can use momentum when doing this movement. So let's say you're doing a set of 10 repetitions, okay? So you're doing it 10 repetitions, guys, and you're going nice and slow and strict on all your reps. And then you get to that point to where you want to bust out more repetitions, but you're too tired to pull the weight back anymore. So only at that point, you're still going to go forward nice and slow, but to finish off your set and get those last 3 reps, it's okay to thrust it and then try to hold it here and then release a slow negative. So if you're going to use momentum, only use it on this portion of the movement and then still do that slow, controlled negative to bring the weight back to the stack. So those are my 3 tips to really help you guys maximize the cable low row machine. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button. Click like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have suggestions for future videos on exercises you guys want to see, leave those comments down in the comment section below. And as always, more good stuff coming soon. See you guys.